when you're getting to a place where you're not able to resist that cupcake or that piece of pie, don't beat yourself up.
Going into ketosis, and I remember I was waking up with night sweats. I was going, what the heck is going on right now?
Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
One of the things that I think is important for us to talk about is the area of health, because a lot of times what happens is people focus so much and stress out so much about getting wealth and making money and finding a way to have a great lifestyle. But sometimes they do that at the expense of their health. So they may be sitting around a computer all day. So they're not getting out and getting vitamin D and moving their physiology, and they're eating processed foods and all of those things. And I know one thing that in our conversations that we've had is really about this notion of health and really doing something to your body. And in our first episode, we talked about the different types of diets and stuff that we're on. But what's on your mind as it relates to making sure that when you make the money, you have the body to be able to live long enough to be able to enjoy it?
I remember coming up when I was in my early 20s, and when you're in your early 20s, you know this, Len, you don't care about nothing in regards to that stuff. Maybe sometimes, maybe even more. I think the culture and the dynamics a little bit different today, in that I think it's more aware now. But I mean, back when we were doing it, I mean, no one cares. You're invincible. And that's still a big thing for the most part. But I remember an entrepreneur that I met that I did some business with for the company I worked for when I was doing IT. I remember he said, look, your health is your wealth. And that always stuck with me. I was like, man, that's pretty profound. Your health is your wealth, right? So I started really getting serious about that in my mid-20s. And then, you kind of fall off a little bit. But then I really made it a lifestyle decision. And we talked about that. But look, nobody thinks about their health until you don't have it. And then once you are sick, that's all you think about, right? Oh my God, right? I mean, think about how debilitating it is if you're sick, if you have a cold or a flu. Well, think about how debilitating it is if you have like a chronic illness, like diabetes or something to that effect. Like you're done for, dude. Like your quality of life, and that's all you're thinking about. At that point now, you have to make decisions in your life and change your life around because of that, right? Like you got to play. I mean, and that takes away from the number one freedom that everybody wants, which is time. So to me, you, especially if you're like the man of the house, like you're a guy, right? And you're just like, I'm the primary, and if you are, you're not, I don't care how that works for you. For me, I am of the man's natural role is to protect and provide and do those things in the house. So if that's you, my mind, I'm always in the mindset of it's like, I have to make sure that I am in optimal condition. Right? I have to make sure that I'm watching that, I'm taking care of myself. But for me, the biggest profound window that I got was when I started seeing a holistic doctor, and I got an actual DNA panel, blood type panel, and I started adjusting my protocols and the way I eat and how I nutrient myself based on what my DNA is, based on what my genetic weak factors are, my good factors are. And that allowed me to really create a diet and nutrition plan and exercise plan centered around what's going to work optimally based on me at a cellular level. And that's something anyone can do for a few $100, depending on what state you're in. You can go have all that. I'd say probably for like $800, you could go get an executive exam. You could get a full body scan, heart scan, full genetic panel labs done, blood type panel labs done, know what your genetic precursors are, all for about $800. I mean, a lot of people spend that in a weekend. Going out, mm-hmm. and I can't even tell you the quality of life that it increases. And then in combining that with making a lifestyle changes, I've been intermittent fasting for 5 years now. I started it right at the end of 2019, beginning of COVID, and I've been doing it ever since then. And I look at pictures of myself, even working out and doing that before, and having a good diet plan before I started doing that versus post intermittent fasting and making it part of my lifestyle. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked at what I see, Len. So for me, I follow mostly a Mediterranean / Paleo, and I intermittent fast. Sometimes I'll eat once a day. Sometimes I'll eat twice a day, just depending on whether or not if I'm trying to regulate some weight, some body weight, some muscle weight, some lean muscle weight. And that's pretty much it. And I walk at least 10,000 steps a day. You have to move. And for guys, it's so important to walk at a pace of 3.5 miles an hour or more for at least 5 minutes, and then do squats without weights And you have, that has such a profound effect on lowering glucose levels and boosting testosterone level. And that's what you need as you get older as a guy. And that's pretty much what's on my mind and what I do. But I'm very, the key thing again, Len, is getting back to it, I think, and this is where a lot of people struggle, is having the mindset and the discipline to do it and enact it. But once you get it, you see the results, you're like, holy moly, and your performance in all areas of your life is increased so dramatically.
Yeah.
And I think you're similar in it too, though.
Pretty much. I would say it's really about blood flow. And for guys, if you want blood flowing to your brain to make sure that your brain is healthy and you don't have a stroke, definitely make sure that you're eating right. If you want to make sure that blood is flowing correctly to your heart, you want to make sure that your arteries aren't clogged with a bunch of inflammatory materials that clog your arteries. And if you want blood flow for your down parts so you can still be intimate with your sweetheart, you need to make sure that blood flows everywhere. So if there was ever an incentive for you to eat right, that's it. That's it. Believe me. And so you want to make sure that the types of foods that you're eating. So right now, pretty much this is a very simple way to put it. If God made it, then you can eat it. That's it. Because when you look at cookies and crackers and all of these highly processed foods, these chips and pastas and all of those things, what ends up happening is you create glucose resistance. And what happens is as you take in food is converted to energy in two ways. It either gets converted to fat or it gets converted to glucose. And so when you eat a lot of simple carbohydrates, like the foods I just mentioned, foods that are highly processed, if it comes in a box and it has a barcode, it's probably processed. And because of that, your body begins to get these messages to say, you know what, we gotta crank out more insulin. And so then what happens is when you bombard yourself with that, then eventually your body says, you know what, this is way too much to deal with. So your body starts to store it as fat. And when your body stores your calories and the food you take in as fat, then you start to see fat around your gut and fat around your legs. And then eventually you have what's called visceral fat, which is the fat that goes around your organs. So now your heart isn't pumping the way that it's supposed to, and your liver isn't functioning the way that it's supposed to. And now, your intestines start to creep over and start to bombard the different organs in your body, and then your body starts to shut down gradually, but it's so gradual you don't feel it until it's too late. And so, I'm certainly not a medical doctor, and so, but I know enough to understand the basics is that if I'm eating whole foods, if I'm eating green foods, if I'm eating meats, and if I'm eating poultry and eggs and all of those things that we were told before that weren't good for you, like eggs are fine. You can eat eggs. You can have lots of eggs. And so, the thoughts that we had about cholesterol, we're learning a lot. So make sure you're doing your research about that, but put good food in your body because, as we said in the first episode, either medicine is going to be your food or food's going to be your medicine. And I'd rather for food to be your medicine and eat accordingly. And so for me, I do intermittent fasting as well. So my eating window is typically 12 to 6 or sometimes 12 to 8. But typically I don't go outside of those. And so maybe intermittent fasting isn't your thing. But if it's something you want to do, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you start off by doing 12 to 6 like I do. I would start off by doing, 14 hours eating and 10 hours eating and 14 hours not. And then eventually just adjusting slowly and just over time get to a place where the windows are based on your lifestyle, based on your work habits and all of those things. But it's different for everybody. So the things that Chris and I do may not work for you, but as a general rule, intermittent fasting is good because of what it does to your body metabolically.
Man, that's great. That was a great point there on that. So I think I think for me, it's the same thing. And that's kind of where I gear towards more the paleo thing, is because, again, if God didn't make it, if it wasn't there, then I'm not going to eat it. And again, that's the hard thing though, is just trying, is actually getting yourself used to doing that. But at the same time, you know, ease into it. I mean, it took me a long time to ease into changing it, because you eventually get good at reading labels and understanding, you know, the tricks, right? And what's fake and what's not fake. Like, for example, honey, right? You think organic honey is what you want to buy, but you really, what you want is the raw, unfiltered honey. And there's just those tricks and those things between all of that. And even if you do get organic stuff, you know, non-GMO stuff, still wash it and clean it, because of the glyphosate that still might be on it and all that stuff that happens. But I mean, really understanding that food and eating for your body and eating right. What works for me might not work for you, but the basic metabolic process is that your body can make an infinite amount of sugar. You don't need any sugar. And everything is sugar. Everything is sugar. Everything we eat is sugar, whether we think it's sugar or not. White bread is sugar. So that's what creates that problem. And that's why you see so many people today that they're pre-diabetic, they're diabetic, or they have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And when I was in Guatemala a few weeks ago, about a month ago, it's been a month ago now, it's crazy because all you see there is soda, candy, and processed foods. Wow. And then everyone you meet there has non-fatty alcoholic disease, you know, a liver dysfunction, and they have diabetes, or they're losing their hair, and it's just like, it's crazy to me, or infertility problems, and you look at it and you go, it's the diet, it's absolutely the diet, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And you see this probably too when you're running. I see it all the time when I'm walking, and I see these guys running with these bellies, and I go, look at these guys running with bellies, and I go, what is it? That's a sugar belly. That's a sugar belly. When a man has a belly like that, that's a sugar belly, right? That means they're just this cortisol. That's that visceral fat right there, right? Because you're insulin resistant, right? And
that's exactly right. Yeah,
that's what creates the problems for people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for those of you that are out there and you're thinking, you know what, I've tried it and then I stopped, and then I tried it again and I stopped, and this perpetual roller coaster is something that I'm on. Understand this, that your body produces a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin tells you you're hungry. And then when you eat food, your fat produces another hormone that tells your body that you've had enough. And then what ends up happening is when you're getting to a place where you're not able to resist that cupcake or that piece of pie, don't beat yourself up. So what I do is, because I couldn't consistently stick to the keto diet for a long period of time, what I did is I like I said before, I do 2 days a week that I cheat. So if I want a piece of pie, then I'm either going to eat it on or Wednesday, or I'm going to eat it on Sunday. And so I had to build the discipline to know that I'm going to go 2 or 3 days without something, but I get my reward by waiting. Because if I just said, okay, I'm just going to be at a caloric deficit, and I'm, going to lose 20 pounds in 30 days, you can do that, but it's not sustainable. So find what works for you. So if a cheat day 1 day a week is good for you, if a cheat day twice a week is good for you, then do that. And if you want to be more disciplined, then go from 3 cheat days to 2 cheat days to 1 cheat day. And, and then if you're really, really good and you're really disciplined, then get to a point where you just do a cheat meal every now and then. Maybe you do it once a week. And then after that, maybe your progression is you do a cheat meal every special occasion, like Thanksgiving or birthdays or certain holidays or things like that. But your journey is your journey. But the key is that you have to start, and whatever it is that you do, you have to be consistent. And in the beginning, it's the hardest because it sucks, because your body is telling you something's different and I don't like it. And it screams because you are going through withdrawals, and you just have to suck it up and get through the withdrawals. And then after that, when I say suck it up, we can all suck up something for a small period of time. You're not going to be able to suck it up by having a caloric deficit from just going cold turkey to a paleo diet when the first 20, 30 years of your life, you've eaten processed foods every day. It just doesn't work like that. So just gradually work your way into it and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing is to learn what works for you and then gradually get yourself into it and know that you're gonna feel totally different and weird. Like I remember the first few times, the last time I really got serious about it and I was going into ketosis, and I remember I was waking up with night sweats. I was going, what the heck is going on right now? Right? And your heart rate's faster. And then I was just like, this is that process that you have to go through to make this shift change. But then once you get it, you start to see results. I think don't try to get it too fast, like you were saying, Lynn. And that's such great advice. I love the fact that you said that, because as you start to slowly get into it, then you start to build new habits and you start to build new processes. And then you start to become more, I don't want to say fanatic, but you start to become more disciplined with it. You're more efficient. You start to figure out, like, for example, I can't even remember the last time I eat a piece of pie. And I love apple pie and cherry pie. And you're saying you have pie once a week. And I'm going, I think the last time I had pie was maybe 2 years ago. I can't even. And I'll tell you, I love apple pie, cherry pie, and apple pie. And I want to eat some of that. But I am so disciplined, I don't even look at it anymore. I just be like, nope, nope. But I did have a German chocolate cookie from Whole Foods the other day. And it was just absolutely spectacular.
See, we all have our vices, man. We all, for some it's, hey, I got to have a glass of wine, and some I've got to have that piece of cake or a piece of cookie, and others it may be something completely different, and that's okay. Whatever it is where you are, the key is have a plan, stick to that plan. And when you stick to the plan, then at some point in time, you increase your ability to become more disciplined. So such a good point, man. I've really enjoyed our conversations, man. We talked about quite a few topics today. So I hope that people in the audience got some value from it. And man, so thanks for taking the time with me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Always love chatting with you. I can't believe it's almost been an hour, it's almost been 2 hours, right? Look, if you enjoyed this content or you enjoyed this conversation, tell somebody about it, share it with somebody. And if you have something to say about it, you want to comment, we want to engage with you as well. Drop a comment in there. We're happy to talk with you guys. I know not everybody's going to agree, but that's what it's here for. That's what makes America great, is the fact that we can have a conversation, a dialogue, and at the end of it, we can still be friends, still be neighbors, still work together, still make money and prosper together. So again, we're never above you, never below you. We're always next to you. We appreciate everybody tuning in today. Len, I appreciate your time. As always, it's always moving fast, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great rest of your day today. I'm going to go eat and do some birthday festivities today, and I appreciate you always as a friend and as a mentor.
Absolutely. And again, man, happy birthday. Many more to you, brother.
Have a great one.
All right,
Send
you too.
my best. Take care.
All right.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.